Well, joining us now is Monday Ubani, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. He is the chairman of the Nigeria Bar Association Electoral Reform Committee. And from our offsite studio, we have Yunusa Zakari Yao, who is the convener of the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room. Good to have both of you gentlemen on News Night tonight. And it's still Happy New Year, even though it feels old already. Let me start with you, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Monday Ubani. This delay, I mean, the House of Reps has passed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2025, but it's still, being delayed by the Senate. What exactly is going on? Why is the Senate delaying this act, and what are the consequences of this delay?
They proceeded on vacation during December time, and I think they are resuming this January. Upon resumption, one of the top priority bill that is actually pending passage is this electoral amendment bill, and it is a hope of every stakeholder in the electoral process to ensure that that bill is passed. Because without the legal framework, you cannot be able to determine the timetable of the election itself for next year. So it's critical that that bill is given priority, and I think they have put it down as one of the first issue they will deal with when they resume this January. Yeah, the House of Rep passed theirs in December. So when the Senate passes theirs, then if there are any differences, they will harmonize the bill and then send it to the president for assent. So I don't have any doubt in my mind, going by my interaction with some of the stakeholders, especially the senator, that they will actually give it a priority.
Well, let me come to you, Mr. Yunusa Yao. Does this feel like deja vu for you? I mean, we saw passage of amendments very close to elections before in Nigeria. 2015, in 2019, it became a serious issue because the then President Muhammadu Buhari, of blessed memory, thought it was too close, and so he refused to put an assent to the amendment. And now again, we are seeing this. Is it that we failed to learn? And when I say we, I mean the National Assembly particularly, or is it just incompetence and avoidance of reform?
Well, I wouldn't say it's incompetence. I think I would say we are refusing to learn. We saw what had happened in the previous cases, as you mentioned. We expect that any learning legislative body would learn lessons from that incident and be able to take corrective measures. And the corrective measures are essentially to ensure that they quickly, speedily pass the amendment so that the president can assent to it and get it on. So I think that what is important is really to call on these questions, to tell them that they have a responsibility to this country and to themselves to bequeath a law that would improve the conduct of elections in this country. So I think that every meaningful Nigerian, democratic-minded person would add his own voice that they should quickly pass the amendment as soon as they resume. I understand that they would be resuming Tuesday or so, coming week. So we hope that within those 3 days that they resume, they should be able to go through the process and get us the bill amendment passed. And then that we hope that the president will not take any unnecessary long period in quickly going through the bill and ensuring that everything is order and append his signature and get it back to them.
All right, let me come back to you, Senior Advocate. I mean, you are the chairman of the NBA Electoral Reform Committee. Let's talk about some of the, key provisions in this proposed electoral law amendment bill. the aspects that really trump the one we're trying to discard. Quite a number of innovations and ideas in the new, the proposed electoral law. Let's look at Section 4, subsection 7, that talks about elections into the office of the president and governor will not hold later than 185 days before the expiration of the term of the office holder, of the last office holder, of course. It's a very interesting, provision. Dwell more on that and how important is this, especially when you put that side by side with this, lack of sense of urgency on the part of the Nigerian Senate.
As I said earlier, the issue of sense of urgency has always been there. I have interacted with both chairmen of the Electoral Committee House and that of the Senate, and they all expressed their readiness to ensure that this particular bill is passed, and so that the next election will be conducted under a new legal framework. That is much I can say, because that discussion, was held when we paid them a visit officially from the Nigerian Bar Association. And so that sense of urgency is there. The only small snag was because of the holiday, as I said earlier, and when they resume this particular January, one of the bills that the Senate should be able to consider is to harmonize the position of the House of Rep, with the past bill already, and then send it to the President for assent. So that sense of urgency is there. Now, with regards to issue of timeline,
right?
Because timeline was not only considered with issue of the leadership, but also even the issue of electoral going to challenge the election result itself. I think some of the days have been limited, within which you can challenge. Is also timeline is being considered. In fact, what is even being mooted is that, look, can we even finish with the issue of dispute, electoral dispute, before you can swear in whoever has emerged as a winner? That is part of the innovation that is being considered. And of course, you are aware of the issue of real-time transmission, which is very critical, because they are saying, look, this time around, we don't want it to be looked as if it's a guideline, that it has to have some level of there's compulsion to it. If you are conducting an election, at every polling unit, you must ensure that that particular result is transmitted when it is counted and all that. So there has been a level of improvement to remove all these ambiguities we had with 2022, especially when it came to the issue of interpretation by the judicial officers.
Right.
There were so many ambiguities that and they want to remove those ambiguities by making sure that those that were regarded as guideline are now regarded as compulsory. Issue of digitization, the beavers, online transmission to IREV and all that. So it is important that we take into cognizance those innovative provisions that do not have any ambiguity anymore. It is now expressly clear that it must have some level of compulsion in interpretation whenever it comes before the judiciary for clarification. Yes.
Interesting. Mr. Sunday Ubani, some would say...
Monday Ubani.
Sorry, beg your pardon, Monday. I'm not changing your name or your birthday.
Yeah.
Some would say the House of Representatives also went on holidays, and they were able to pass that before the holiday snag.
I agree.
So it does show, like the Senate doesn't show that sense of urgency and time-sensitive nature that this electoral reforms demand, just as we've seen with the House of Representatives. But let me take it to Mr. Yao. Mr. Yao, the current Electoral Act, I believe it's Section 28, subsection 1, stipulates that INEC should, publish notice of elections not less than 360 days before that election. As it stands, INEC has barely 4 weeks to go. If the next election, presidential particularly, should be slated for February of 2027. So it does look like INEC is already put in a legal bind. But from the perspective of civil society, would you say INEC should, just go ahead with what they have, or should they, take the risk of waiting for the National Assembly? And also the reforms as civil society, do you see them as necessary? And which one stands out for you?
I think that to go back to your earlier question about whether we are learning, I think that the amendments are extremely important learning from the previous act that we have. The many innovations into the amendment. He has just talked about the electronic transmission of the results. There's also provision for improved autonomy and funding of INEC. There's also improvement in terms of supervisory role to monitoring the conduct of primaries of parties. So to that extent, I think that the amendment is improvement on the previous one. So I think that we should insist that the Senate quickly address this and pass the amendment. I think that if it reaches the point that the INEC would be in a difficult position in terms of meeting that amendment, I think that one of the things they could do is perhaps reduce the number of dates so that we don't throw away the innovations because of the dates in that. But I think the important thing really is to get the Senate to understand the urgency, the importance of doing this, and to get them to discharge this responsibility to this country.
Mr. Monday Ubani, I mean, you've talked about the electronic transmission.
Yes.
And the need to remove the ambiguities around that. What are the other aspects of this this bill, if
Yes.
it does scale through? What are the other aspects that actually trump the Electoral Act of 2022 that will really be the game changer that Nigerians will have confidence in? Nigerians will have confidence in INEC, the judiciary, the political parties themselves.
Yes, I think more powers have been given to INEC, especially in monitoring the electoral process, starting from the political parties' primaries to the election proper. More powers have been given to INEC. I think I saw that. And then there are other
In what aspects, if you can be,
especially in monitoring those processes, especially if you want to, part of the suggestion we put up, as MBA, is look, the voters list, what they call them, delegates list, must be made known, must be publicized. You don't go and hire touts, from the park, to come and vote. Yes, that's what they've been doing in previous, so we want a situation where it is political party members whose names are in the register and whose names are in the system that will conduct the primaries. It's very important, and INEC must ensure that there is actually due compliance with that particular provision. So more powers have actually been suggested to be given to INEC. And INEC laws, INEC guidelines has now received the issue of a legal power. Before, they say some of their rules are not recognized under the law and all that, but whatever law they make has provisions already in the constitution that they have right to make such guidelines. So it has a constitutional flavor. So it is important that these things now are being taken care of. And the number of days before the election is, I think they are going to shorten it. Right. Maybe that's why Senate is not too much I'm not saying that they will do, because almost a year before election, yes, they are now saying that is too much, because you put the aspirants into unnecessary expenses. Right. They keep on spending money until almost 9 months before the election. But now they have reduced the number of time within which after you emerge in the primaries to now have election. I think the election itself will start. The campaign will start for the presidential sometime in November. And the election is going to take place in February. So by that, they have reduced the number of time within which you will be spending and all that. Are you following me?
3 to 4 months.
Beautiful,
yes.
Beautiful. Yeah. The same with gubernatorial. Right. So they are taking that into cognizance. That may be the reason why. But I can assure you that the Senate, they are not in any way delaying, and they are not doing it intentionally in order to hold the system. But it's because of the holiday. But immediately upon resumption, I can assure you that bill will actually receive their priority attention.
Interesting. Okay. There were also plans to move the election itself
to this year.
But with this delay, one wonders if that still happens. But Mr. Yao, you have the last word in this conversation. Your closing remarks, what would civil society be doing going forward now? And, just to sum it up.
I think that civil society would continue to voice its position about the need to ensure that this electoral amendment bill is as quickly as possible passed, so that it becomes a law, and so that the conduct of 2022 27th would be on the basis of this new Electoral Act that we'll get as a result of this amendment.
Thank you very much. Just to add too, that lawmakers are proposing to stop the use of PVCs as a compulsory means of identification. They're saying NIN, passports, or your birth certificate will suffice. Yes, thank you very much. Monday Ubani, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, is also the chairman of the NBA Electoral Reform Committee. Yunusa Zakari Yao is convener Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room and ED Center for Information and Development, joining us tonight on Newsnight.